Wow, thank you so much. The boat trip sounds really fantastic, but please don't leave yet. Just 15 minutes. So I'm actually going to talk to you about augmented reality. And here's a picture I took from the last conference I visited. These are the speakers. Like, they could be the speakers here today, I believe. I don't know if you noticed something about them. Something they all do, something invisible that they see but you don't see. Any ideas? I think is their ideas. Like, the way we express themselves. We all use imaginary shapes and spaces. We swirling of ideas. We use metaphors, and as we talk about them, we say them. It's very natural. Our brains are wired very spatially. It's in our language. In English, it's understand something. In German, it's verstehen, and what does understanding has to do with standing? But it does, because this is how our brain works. It's very spatial. And this is why when we talk, we actually use our bodies to express themselves. And when I do this, I see something here, right? And it's very natural for me, but this is something that you don't see, only I see. And this is the thing that I would like to change. And I believe this is a really powerful and key future for augmented reality, which is basically augmented storytelling. My name is Adam. I'm from Hungary, and I used to be an artist, and I always had a passion for augmenting spaces. It wasn't what AR is today. It was mostly coming from the hard end, building tens and thousands of pieces of small electronics and gluing them to architecture, mostly to create experiences where people can express themselves through architecture, where people can change how the spaces respond to them, interact with them. And that was going well. The last two pictures are from the Venice Biennale. But about 8 years ago, something else got me really passionate, which is building a software product. So with my co-founders, we started Prezi, which is the tool I'm using now. And we're at 3 billion views online, 85 million users, 3 new Prezis a second, offices in San Francisco, and $85 million of investment so far. So it's a really decent-sized company. But I won't spend much time there. This is all I wanted to say about Prezi today. Because I wanted to talk about the Terminator. I guess you saw the title. And first, to get there, let me tell you a little situation or story. So imagine that we are having this really delightful conversation. We're sitting down somewhere, probably we're having a coffee. It's nicer, right? And imagine that after a few minutes, I casually mentioned that very book that you loved when you were a teenager. And then I start to hum your favorite rock band's favorite ballad. And it just feels so natural and authentic, like we're really resonating with each other, right? It's just the most human thing you can imagine. Except that I was just accessing your browsing history through AR, because I have this really good package from my mobile provider of your social profiling. It's a top package. And I could see all this information about you, and I took advantage of you, right? So this is a future we're getting into now. You can actually buy this information from American ISPs. Except that you probably don't think this can happen, because if you know that I do this, you probably do this too, and you'll get suspicious, and you have another package, and we all just get into this loop of suspicion, like spying on each other. Now, you might say that these things don't happen. If you remember Google Glass from a few years ago, anyone remembers how the Google Glass people were called in the US? Glass holes, yes. Right, because when others see you doing this, it's like there's this really strong social pressure that don't do that, stop filming me now. Except, again, about 15 years ago or 20, I don't remember, when mobile phones became popular, in Hungary we used to call them butt phones, for like butt heads, because it was socially so unacceptable to make phone calls in public. Like, you just hated that situation. Like, how can you do that, right? And then, of course, over the years, as more and more people did that, it became a norm, and we were less suspicious about it, less angry about it, and all happily embraced that future, which is fine today. Now, this is a future that I don't want to happen. I think this is dreadful, that we are all like Terminators, scanning each other's faces and accessing illegal information or half-legal, and I'm taking advantage of you. There's a really beautiful video you should check later. I just show a small extract from it from Keiichi Matsuda called Hyper Reality from a few years ago, which shows that future, I think, in a beautiful detail, which is not very far from what a lot of AR projects and companies are trying to achieve. So, if not this, then what? I think, first I want to show you some inspiring examples that I have found and I love. This is just two actresses from Buñuel's last movie, where the same character is played by two actresses. And depending on her mood, suddenly, even in the same scene, they change. It's confusing the male character and shows expressions. And of course, by today's norms, I wish Buñuel did the same with the male character as well, not only the female, but it was very powerful. And if you follow anime or if you love that cultural style, you actually have a lot of augmentation in faces. The cat face on the, yes, that's also your top left, right? So I think this is really funny and powerful how emotions are augmented through massive changes of what actually a human looks like. I won't need that now. This video is, again, a few years old. It's a projection mapping on a face. And this is a little bit static. It really uses her face only as a canvas. But if you think about the possibilities of what she would say and express, and if her emotions would alter her facial expressions in an augmented way, that you would see the cat face when she's angry, or when I'm laughing now, or if I get embarrassed by talking to people, I get funny things on my face. I think it would really help us, and I think this thing will happen. So there is a really powerful hope here if self-expression is more inspiring than just spying. I think this is what we will choose. Now, what I am really passionate about, these are expressing emotions. What I am really passionate about is expressing ideas and sharing ideas. One level more complexity. So something we did about, which was 3 years ago, it's a little app called Nutshell, which is like an augmented storytelling app. It wasn't very successful. We only got about 300,000 downloads for it. It wasn't real time. It was well before ARKit released by Apple. But it gives us lots of little ideas of how people can express ideas by augmenting the reality around them. And also the other thing that we learned, that if you don't wait for augmented reality hardware devices to actually land and all these goggles and retina projections to happen, we can actually use today's technologies to start to develop this language. And this is the reason why we started working with AR at Prezi. We launched it at the TED main stage 2 months ago in Vancouver, and this is Robert Sapolsky. He's giving a really powerful talk, standing next to a person, talking about how the decision is made if kill or not to kill somebody. It's a really powerful talk. But really, this is the idea that using just an augmented mirror, anybody can alter these augmented spaces around them. So the possibility for you to express yourself is here today using today's devices. And I think by this, we can start to develop a language, and if the language is developed, it will become more refined and more interesting and more inspiring than spying on each other. And this is a vision and the future, which I love much more, that the human is in the center, and the human's ideas and expressions are in the center, and not taking advantage of each other's, like Terminator did. So this was the idea I brought to you for inspiration. I hope you liked it. And actually, we have some time for questions, if you dare. I do this because I don't see you. If you smiled once, please give me that pleasure to have one question, because it feels so much. Thank you.
This is a mic, right? Okay, yes. Awesome. So ARKit, do you think this is sort of the rocket ship that's going to open up the hardware capability to, create a hockey stick growth for AR?
Pokemon Go was the first AR successful thing, and it only needed a great idea. It didn't use any advanced thing, only the gyroscope in the phone. For this Nutshell app we did much more complicated thing, which made it slower and harder to use. And ARKit opens up a lot of really cool possibilities. So I think it's always the language develops, ideas develop, and I think that's a much more powerful thing. So I'm really, really happy that they did that. Yes?
Thank you.
I have nothing else. Okay.
Who else has a question? raise your hand and then we can throw the box at you. Here at the front. Oh, well caught.
Hi. What do you think, how long does it take that AR will be so normal for everyone? So like in the video.
Yeah, it's actually, the funny thing is it's quite near except for the batteries. So it needs powerful computers, you can do it, but most of the devices that are there today, like HoloLens, they last for 10 minutes and I have to recharge them. And the reason I strongly believe that this is actually coming, I left my, do you have a phone with you? Can I borrow it for a second? It won't make any calls. So like today, this is how we interact with each other and with the source, right? You know, it just doesn't make sense. Like you want to look up, you want to be in the space, be with others, but still have that augmentation that we love today. So it's inevitable. This is why I think it's important to think about it and make something really good from it. Thank you.
There's also some questions up on the screen. Is there any timeline on this new concept?
Yeah, the new concept is released this year. So the prototype is working, beta testers are using it. If you really want to test it, email adam@prezi.com and I give you access. Okay, the second one, language every kid needs to speak in 5 years. Yeah, this is, I love this one. Like we used to say coding is the language every kid has to speak. And when AI becomes really powerful, I don't know if coding is the one. I really think that having meaningful connections to each other and building on each other's ideas is a language every kid needs to speak. And if augmentation makes that more accessible and powerful, then yes.
Any more questions from the room, maybe? We can throw the box at you.
Yeah, there was one more. I believe it's probably, you know, Facebook, Apple, Google, they are doing the platforms from today's devices. So they will enable a lot of inspiring hacks, way beyond what I have showed you, probably.
Last question from the room, and then we're done. Anybody? Last chance? No? Okay. Thank you, everyone.